She thought she was just going on a simple night hike, until her blood saved a dying wolf and accidentally completed an ancient mating ritual. Now every wolf in the mountain wants her captured, the Alpha King is bound to her soul, and the rebel prince is hunting her for power. This is where her nightmare and her destiny begin. Before we start, let me know where you're watching from. It always warms my heart seeing this community grow. The mountain night was colder than Claire Dalton expected. She had hiked alone many times before, but never this high, never this late. The sky above her was a deep navy, and the moon looked like a silver coin pressed into velvet. Her breath fogged the air as she tightened her backpack straps and continued up the narrow ridge trail. "Great idea, Claire," she muttered to herself. "Night hike. Alone. Brilliant." Despite the sarcasm, she smiled. She loved the quiet. She loved escaping the city and hearing nothing but wind and distant owls. The sharp pine smell filled her lungs, comforting and familiar. A storm had been predicted, but it hadn't hit yet. The clouds were gathering slowly, crawling over the peaks like creeping shadows. Claire lifted her head. Something was wrong. A sound drifted through the trees, sharp and agonized. Not human. Not quite animal either. A low, broken cry, like a creature fighting through pain. She stopped mid-step. What was that? Silence followed, but a heavy silence, as if the forest was listening with her. Then it came again. A weak, rattling growl. Claire's heart thudded. She should walk away. She knew that. Wild animals were dangerous, especially injured ones. But the sound triggered something in her chest, a need to help, the same instinct that made her stop for wounded birds or lost hikers. "Just take one look," she whispered and stepped off the path. Branches brushed her arms as she followed the noise. The ground sloped downward, rocks sliding under her boots. The growl grew louder, mixed with a painful whine. When she reached a small clearing between twisted pines, Claire froze. A giant wolf lay on the ground. He was enormous, larger than any wolf she had seen in pictures, almost too big to be real. His fur was black with silver streaks, thick and matted with blood. Metal traps bit into his side and leg, cruel devices with jagged teeth. The wolf's breaths were ragged, his ribs shuddering with each inhale. Claire's stomach twisted. "Oh no, who did this to you?" The wolf's golden eyes snapped open. Their gaze locked, and Claire felt pinned, as if the air thickened around her. His eyes were bright, intelligent, too intelligent. They flickered like firelight, full of pain and something else she couldn't name. He growled weakly. "I'm not here to hurt you," Claire said softly, slowly raising her hands. "I'm trying to help." The wolf didn't move, but his breathing grew faster. Every breath sounded like a struggle. Blood pooled beneath him, dark and sticky. "You're dying." Her voice cracked. She knelt carefully, keeping her movements slow. Tears stung her eyes as she saw the damage up close. Deep cuts, silver burns, old scars on top of new wounds. "Whoever set these traps is a monster," she whispered. Her hands shook, but she forced herself to stay calm. She removed her jacket, folded it, and placed it near his head to support him. The wolf's eyes followed her every motion. Then he made a sound she didn't expect. A soft, low grumble. Not threatening. Almost curious. Almost pleading. Claire took a breath. Okay. I'm going to get this trap off. Just stay with me, all right?" She reached for the first metal trap. The moment her fingers touched it, the wolf made a deep, guttural sound of pain. Claire winced in sympathy. I know. I'm sorry. Please just hang on." The trap was heavy and rusted. It took all her strength to pull the jaws apart. As soon as they released, the wolf jerked and coughed, blood spilling from his side. He wasn't going to last long. Fear filled her chest. She looked down at herself, desperate. If only I had something, bandages, medicine, anything. Then something inside her hand tingled. She looked. A deep cut sliced across her palm. She must have cut herself on a sharp branch or the trap. Blood dripped down her wrist. The wolf's eyes widened. His nostrils flared. His gaze locked on her blood with sudden, intense focus. Claire swallowed. "Hey! Don't look at me like that. But a strange thought entered her mind, not her own. A whisper, soft and ancient, curling like wind inside her skull. Life for life. Blood for blood. Bond for bond. She shivered. The wolf let out a weak whine and lowered his head onto the ground. His eyes were fading. "No," Claire whispered. "Don't you dare." She acted without thinking. She pressed her bleeding palm against the open wound on his side. The world exploded. A shockwave blasted through the air, but she didn't feel wind. She felt energy, hot and electric, rushing from her hand into his body. Her vision blurred as light pulsed beneath her skin. The wolf's body jerked violently. His eyes flared gold, so bright they were almost blinding. Claire gasped. Her heart raced, pounding in her ears. What's happening? The wolf shifted beneath her hand. Bones cracked. Muscles twisted. Fur melted into skin. A glow wrapped his form like burning moonlight. Claire scrambled back, terrified. When the light faded, a man lay on the ground where the wolf had been. Tall. Muscular. Pale skin streaked with blood. Long black hair tangled around his face. His eyes, still glowing gold, locked on her. Claire's breath caught. He struggled to sit up, glaring at her with raw intensity. "Why did you do that?" His voice was deep, rough, filled with pain and shock. Claire couldn't move. "You were dying." "You shouldn't have touched me," he growled. His hand pressed against the wound, already healing. "Your blood, you triggered the right." "The what?" He tried to stand, stumbled, and caught himself on a tree. His chest rose and fell in hard breaths. "You've bound yourself to me," he said through clenched teeth. "You completed an ancient mating ritual." Claire felt the blood drain from her face. What? No. No. That's not possible." He stared at her with a look that was both furious and grim. "I am Elias Blackthorn, Alpha King of the Mountain. And now, against my will, my soul is tied to yours." Her heart stopped. What does that even mean? Elias looked at the sky, jaw tight. "It means every wolf in these mountains will come for you." Thunder rumbled overhead like an answer. And the storm finally broke. Rain poured down in cold, heavy sheets, soaking Claire's clothes instantly. Elias didn't seem to care about the storm. He stood half-naked in the rain, wounds closing rapidly, glowing faintly beneath the water. Claire stared at him, shivering. "This is a dream," she whispered. "It has to be." "It isn't," Elias said sharply. "Move. Now." I don't even know you." A flash of something dark crossed his eyes. "You know enough. You know my name. And you know that you've bound yourself to me." Claire shook her head. "No. I didn't bind myself to anything. I just tried to help you. And your help may cost you your life." His voice cut through the storm like a blade. Claire stepped back. "Look, I don't want any rituals. Or bonds. Or whatever this is. So just undo it." Elias let out a humorless laugh. "If I could undo it, I would. But the rite is ancient magic, older than the packs, older than the mountains." Claire's heart pounded with fear. This is insane. He took a step toward her, and she flinched. Elias stopped, frustration flickering across his face. "I'm not going to hurt you." "Then why do you look like you want to strangle me?" "Because you've changed everything." His voice rose, rough with anger. "The bond wasn't meant for humans. Now every rival pack will want to capture you." "Capture me? Why?" "To use you against me." His jaw tightened. "Breaking the bond would weaken me. Possibly kill me." Claire stared. "So they want me as bait. They want you as a weapon." Her knees nearly gave out. She grabbed a tree trunk for support. "This can't be happening." Elias walked closer, slower this time, his expression tense but calmer. He stood just a few feet away, rain dripping from his hair and shoulders. "The bond is new," he said quietly. "I can feel your fear." Claire's eyes widened. "You can feel what I'm feeling?" "Yes. and you will feel echoes of mine. What echoes? He hesitated. Pain, rage, hunger, instinct, emotion, stronger than you're used to. Claire swallowed hard. So I'm stuck with your emotions bleeding into mine. For now. For now. How long does it last? Until we decide its fate, he said. Together. She clenched her fists. You don't get to decide anything for me. A muscle ticked in Elias's jaw. You misunderstand. The bond ties both of us. Our decisions affect each other. If you run, I will follow. If you die, I die. Claire froze. What? Hold on, why would you die? Because the bond ties our souls. The rite was meant for mates, wolves who chose each other. You completed it by offering your blood to save me. Claire's voice turned soft, frightened. I didn't know. I know you didn't, Elias said quietly. I felt your intent. A long silence passed between them. Rain softened into a drizzle, pattering gently on leaves. Then Elias tensed suddenly. Claire noticed the shift. What is it? He sniffed the air. His expression darkened. Wolves, he said. Not mine. Claire's chest tightened. Already. They felt the right. They're coming for you. He grabbed her wrist, too warm, too strong, and pulled her with him. Hey, Elias. No time. Move. Claire stumbled after him as they sprinted between trees. Branches slapped her arms, mud splashed her legs, and roots threatened to trip her. Elias moved like a shadow, fast, controlled, barely touching the ground. He slowed only when she fell behind. You're too slow, he growled. I'm human. And that's the problem. Not my fault. He shot her a look, frustrated, conflicted, almost guilty, but said nothing and continued dragging her forward. Howls echoed behind them, sharp and hungry. Claire's blood turned to ice. They're close. Closer than I'd like, Elias muttered. Hold on. He slid an arm around her waist, lifting her effortlessly. Elias. Put me. He ran. Not human running, wolf running. They flew through the forest. Claire clung to him, wind ripping at her hair, branches whipping past. His body felt like heat and strength and something not entirely human. Howls grew louder. More than one. Maybe 5. Maybe 10. They won't stop, Elias said. Not until they have you. Claire buried her face against his chest, trembling. Why? Why do they want me that badly? Because a human mate bond to an alpha king has never happened. You are a threat. A mystery. A prize. And if they take me, they will torture you until the bond breaks. Her breath hitched. Elias. And if the bond breaks, I will die. Claire's voice was barely a whisper. I didn't ask for any of this. I know. The forest suddenly opened into a deeper clearing. Elias finally stopped, breathing steadily, golden eyes scanning the dark. Claire slid from his arms, shaking but standing. Are we safe? No. He turned toward her, expression grim but steady. But I swear I will protect you. Claire met his gaze for a long, trembling moment. You don't even want this bond, she whispered. His jaw tightened. No. But I won't let you suffer for it. Before she could answer, a howl pierced the clearing, closer than ever. Elias shifted. Bones cracked and reshaped. Dark fur burst from his skin. The giant wolf, the same one she saved, stood before her, powerful and terrifying. He growled once, low and protective. Stay behind me. Claire didn't understand how, but she heard the meaning in her mind. The rival pack wolves appeared between the trees, glowing eyes surrounding the clearing. Claire's breath caught. Elias lowered himself into a fighting stance, and the storm inside the mountains began to rumble again. The forest felt different once the rival pack disappeared into the shadows. A heavy silence fell. Claire's heart still pounded from the chase, and her breath came in sharp, uneven bursts, but Elias kept moving forward without pause. He didn't shift back into human form at first. His massive wolf shape walked ahead of her, dark fur brushing the low branches. Rainwater dripped from his coat, each drop shining faintly in the dim moonlight. Claire followed him down a narrow slope, hugging her arms around herself. Her clothes clung to her skin, cold and soaked. Her boots squished against the mud. "Slow down," she muttered, exhausted. Elias slowed. He didn't turn around or make a sound, but she felt it, the bond responding. A tug inside her chest, soft but persistent, like someone nudging her from the inside. She hated it. She needed it. She didn't know which feeling scared her more. They walked deeper into the mountains until the trees grew twisted in unfamiliar shapes. The air was denser here, almost humming with energy. The moonlight dimmed as though something high above filtered it with invisible hands. Finally, Elias stopped. The wolf's body shimmered, bones folding inward in smooth waves. Fur sank into skin. The shift looked less painful this time, less violent, though still unnervingly unnatural. When he stood, human again, he looked tired but steady. His dark hair clung to his neck and shoulders, his chest rising and falling in slow breaths. The glowing gold of his irises had dimmed, but hadn't fully vanished. "We're close," he said. "Stay near me." "Where are we?" "My territory." He stepped aside, revealing a steep rocky path Claire hadn't noticed before. Torches flickered on the sides. She wasn't sure if they had always been there, or if they had lit themselves at their arrival. The flames burned blue, casting eerie highlights on the wet stones. Claire stared. "This looks ancient." "It is. Only wolves born to the mountain can enter these passages." "And me. I'm human." Elias's jaw flexed. The bond has changed that. Another reminder she didn't ask for. He led her upward. The path wound between cliffs so tall they blocked the sky. By the time they reached the top, Claire felt weak, physically, emotionally, everything. Then the path opened. She gasped. A hidden valley stretched before them, lit only by moonlight reflecting off shallow pools. Stone homes sat in curved clusters along the slopes, carved into the mountain itself. Bridges made of thick tree roots connected terraces of moss-covered ground. Wolves watched silently from rooftops and ledges. Their eyes glowed, blue, silver, gold, each one intense, curious, or hostile. Claire swallowed. "They are staring." "They've never seen a human here," Elias said. "Especially not one bound to their king." "That doesn't make me feel any better." "It wasn't meant to." He started walking again, and she stayed quietly beside him, aware of every gaze burning into her skin. Some wolves shifted into human form as they followed along the edges of the path. Men and women of all ages with long hair, sharp cheekbones, fast-moving eyes. Some murmured to each other. Others simply glared at her. A tall man with dark brown skin and cropped silver hair approached them, stepping into their path. Claire stiffened. His expression was stern, and he carried himself like someone not used to being questioned. "Elias," he said, voice deep. "You return wounded. And with her." Elias straightened, expression cold. "Stand down, Rowan." Rowan's gaze flicked over Claire. "The rumors are true, then. A human." "She saved my life," Elias said, tone slicing the air. "And she completed the rite." Gasps echoed around them. Wolves whispered behind hands. Claire felt small, exposed. Rowan's eyes narrowed. "The packs will riot over this." "I know. And you brought her here. She is under my protection." Rowan lifted an eyebrow. "Even you cannot stop what is coming." A muscle in Elias's jaw ticked. "Watch me." Rowan stepped aside but didn't bow. His eyes lingered on Claire with something between curiosity and caution, like she was a threat he wasn't sure how to measure yet. Elias continued forward. Claire forced her legs to move even though they felt like jelly. "Do they all hate me?" she whispered. Elias didn't look at her. "They fear what they don't understand." "Great. That's comforting. You wanted honesty." She glared at him. "Not that kind." He almost smirked. "Almost. but exhaustion buried any expression on his face. They reached a wide cave at the far end of the valley. A large stone door stood at its entrance, carved with swirling symbols. When Elias stepped closer, the symbols glowed softly and the stone door slid to the side. Claire blinked. Magic? Yes. Is everything here magic? Most things. Wonderful, she muttered, stepping inside. The interior was warm, finally warm. The floor was smooth stone, covered in thick blankets of fur. Soft orange crystals glowed from the walls like lanterns. This is your place? Claire asked. My den. My home. He moved toward a low fire pit in the center of the room and knelt beside it. The fire sprang to life without him touching anything. Claire stared in awe. Okay. That's definitely magic. He didn't answer. He simply stared into the fire, shoulders tense, breathing slowly as if grounding himself. She hesitated, then sat across from him. So, what now? Elias lifted his head. For a moment, he didn't look like the Alpha King or a powerful wolf. He looked tired, worn, human. You will rest, he said quietly. And tomorrow, we seek the one person who can explain exactly what this bond has done. Who? Marion Wren. And who is she? A witch, Elias said. Claire's stomach tightened. Because witches always make things better, she muttered. For the first time since she met him, Elias almost smiled. Chapter 4. The Witch Who Knows Too Much. Morning came slowly in the valley. The hidden world was dim even under the sun, as if the mountains themselves filtered the light to keep the territory secret. Claire woke wrapped in one of the thick fur blankets Elias had given her. The fire still glowed in the center of the den. Her clothes had dried overnight, though still smelled faintly of smoke and forest. Elias was already awake, sitting near the entrance, watching the valley below with a stiffness Claire recognized as worry, even if he didn't show it outright. She sat up. How long have you been awake? Long enough. Did you sleep at all? He didn't answer. Claire sighed. You know, you could say yes or no. It won't kill you. Sleep for an Alpha King is a luxury. His voice was flat, controlled. Especially now. She frowned, but didn't argue. They left soon after, descending into the valley. More wolves watched from high ledges and doorways. Claire kept her eyes down, feeling the weight of their gazes like cold hands on her back. Elias walked close to her, not touching her, but positioned like a silent shield. After a long climb, they reached a narrow pass carved between two enormous boulders. Beyond it stood a crooked wooden hut half buried in moss, perched on a cliff edge that overlooked the forest. Smoke curled lazily from the chimney, and wind chimes made of bone and silver clinked softly in the breeze. Claire shivered. This is cozy. Elias didn't smile. Witches make their homes this way on purpose. Why? To keep people out. Again, comforting, Claire muttered. He knocked once on the wooden door. A raspy voice answered immediately. I know why you're here, Elias Blackthorne. Enter. The door swung open on its own. Claire felt a cold shiver race down her spine. Elias placed a hand on her back, not touching her skin, just near her, guiding her forward with a subtle pressure. She stepped inside. The interior was cluttered but warm. Shelves overflowed with jars filled with herbs, glowing stones, powders, and strange liquid mixtures. Dried flowers hung from the ceiling. A large cauldron bubbled on a fire pit. At a small wooden table sat Marion Wren, the witch. She was older than Claire expected, with long grey hair braided tightly down her back. Her eyes, strange pale blue, seemed to look straight through Claire as if reading every memory she ever had. Sit, Marion said, pointing at two wooden stools. Claire sat quickly. Elias remained standing. Marion's lips twitched. Still stubborn, even when wounded. I heal fast, Elias replied. Yes. Her gaze flicked to Claire. But this one does not. Claire tensed. Marion studied her for a long moment, long enough that Claire felt exposed. The bond has rooted itself deeply, Marion said at last. Deeper than I expected. Claire swallowed. Can you explain what it means? Elias keeps talking in half sentences. Elias glared at the witch. Marion ignored him. The right was meant for wolves, Marion said. When two wolves chose each other, heart, soul, and instinct, they offered blood freely. A symbol of trust. Of unity. Claire's palms grew sweaty. But I didn't choose anything. I just tried to save his life. And that, Marion said, is why the mountain accepted your offering. Claire's brows furrowed. Mountain. The mountain accepted what I did. Marion nodded. These peaks are alive with old magic. They witnessed your intent. Your desire to save him. You acted with pure instinct, just like wolves do. And so, the rite completed itself. Claire stared down at her hands. So now I'm, what? His mate. Marion's eyes softened, for the first time. Bound. Yes. Mate, not yet. Elias stiffened. Claire's pulse jumped. What does that mean? She asked. The bond has 2 stages, Marion explained. The first is the soul tether. It links your emotions, senses, and energy. You and Elias are already experiencing that. Elias shifted uncomfortably. The second, Marion continued, requires conscious acceptance. A choice made by both. And if we don't choose? Claire asked. The bond remains unstable, Marion said. It will pull at you. Influence you. Sometimes gently, sometimes violently. Elias's eyes were dark now. Claire felt a faint echo of something. Unease? Anger. It wasn't her own. What happens if someone forces the bond to break? Claire whispered, already fearing the answer. Marion's face turned grave. Then the Alpha King dies. Claire closed her eyes. Her chest tightened painfully. And if we choose it, she forced out. Marion didn't hesitate. Elias becomes stronger than any Alpha before him. Strong enough to end centuries of pack conflict. Claire exhaled shakily. So either I kill him, or make him unstoppable. Correct. Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Claire's voice cracked. Why me? I'm nobody. I'm just a hiker. The mountain does not care for status, Marion said. It cares for intent. You saw a dying creature and gave your blood willingly. No wolf has shown such pure instinct in centuries. Elias stepped closer, expression unreadable. How do we protect her from the rebel packs? Marion's gaze sharpened. Damien Vale already knows. Claire's heart dropped. The rebel prince. He wants the human, Marion said. Not out of desire, but ambition. If he controls her, he controls you. If he controls you, he controls everything. Elias's fists clenched. Claire felt a flicker of rage shoot through her. Not her own. Can the bond be hidden? Elias asked. No. It shines too brightly. Every pack in these mountains feels it now. Claire shook her head. So I'm basically walking bait. Not bait, Marion corrected. A weapon. Claire felt sick. I don't want to be a weapon. You do not choose what the mountain makes of you, Marion said. And what am I supposed to do? Claire whispered. Hide forever. Watch wolves fight over me. No, Marion said. You must learn the bond. Control the energy. Only then can you survive what is coming. Claire's voice was barely audible. I never asked for any of this. Marion placed a hand over Claire's. Her touch was surprisingly warm. Fate rarely asks. It simply arrives. Elias stepped closer to Claire, his shadow falling over her. We train today, he said, before Damien makes his next move. Claire looked up at him, fear and something else swirling in her chest. The bond pulsed. And deep in the forest, something howled in reply. The wind shifted before they even left Marion Wren's hut. Claire felt it first, an icy brush across the back of her neck, like cold fingers dragging lightly over her skin. She shivered and rubbed her arms. What was that? She whispered. Elias froze, listening to the air with an expression that hardened by the second. His gold irises brightened, glowing softly in the dim light. He inhaled again, slower, deeper. "Damien," he muttered. Claire swallowed. "Already?" Marion stood behind them, hands clasped behind her back, her old eyes narrowing. "He's always been fast when he wants something." She stepped forward, her tone low and grave. "Be careful. He does not hunt with claws. He hunts with promises." Elias growled at that, but Marion simply waved a dismissive hand. "You cannot snarl away a prince with ambition." Claire felt a chill crawl up her spine. "Who is he exactly? Elias keeps calling him a rebel prince." Marion gave a tight, humorless smile. "A wolf who believes he was born to rule. A charming liar. A patient predator. And the only wolf who ever made the mountain hesitate." Her gaze shifted to Claire. "You are now his most valuable obsession." Claire's stomach twisted. But there was no time for questions. Elias moved quickly, guiding her out of the hut and back toward the valley. The path was steep, lined with crooked pines. Fog rolled thick between the trees, curling around Claire's feet like something alive. The air felt charged, humming with hidden tension. Claire felt it again, the strange tug of the bond inside her chest. But this time, it wasn't from Elias. It felt like someone brushing soft fingers across her mind. A whisper slipped through her thoughts, gentle and too close. "Claire." She gasped and stumbled. Elias immediately grabbed her arm. "What happened?" She pressed a hand to her temple. "Someone said my name." Elias stiffened. His voice. Claire nodded, shaking. "How is that possible?" "Dreamwalking," Elias said sharply. "Damien must be close." "How close?" A new voice answered. "Close enough." Claire spun around. A tall figure stepped out from between two enormous pine trunks, walking toward them with the casual grace of someone who never felt threatened. He had dark auburn hair that fell to his shoulders, sharp green eyes that seemed to glow against the fog, and a smile that was both warm and dangerous. Damien Vale. Every instinct in Claire told her to step back. Elias immediately shifted his stance, putting himself between Claire and Damien. His muscles tensed like coiled steel, ready to attack, eyes blazing gold. Damien chuckled. "Relax, cousin. If I wanted to kill her, she'd already be dead." Elias growled. "You won't touch her." "Touch?" Damien laughed softly, placing a hand over his heart in pretend innocence. "I haven't even gotten close enough to admire her properly." Claire felt a cold jolt run down her spine. Damien looked at her then, really looked. His eyes met hers, and something inside her tightened. Not attraction. Not fear. Something deeper, sharper. Recognition. As if he already knew her. He tilted his head. "So you are the human everyone's whispering about. Claire Dalton." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I've waited a long time to feel the mountains shift like this." "Stay out of her mind," Elias snarled. Damien raised an eyebrow. "I didn't enter her mind. The bond flashed so brightly last night that I saw it without trying." His gaze slid back to Claire. "You must have been frightened when you offered your blood. Brave. Foolish. But very interesting." Claire stepped back, but Damien moved forward slowly, unbothered. "You don't get to talk to her," Elias snapped. Damien ignored him. "Tell me, Claire, how does it feel?" Claire's voice shook. "How does what feel?" "To be tied to someone you did not choose." Elias took one step forward, teeth bared, but Damien only smirked. "To feel his emotions bleed into you," Damien continued. "His anger. His instincts. His hunger." Claire's heartbeat quickened. She hated how accurately he described it. Damien's eyes gleamed. "Do you feel it now? His rage. His need to keep you close." Elias lunged. The two alphas collided with bone-rattling force. Elias slammed Damien into a pine tree, cracking the trunk. Damien laughed even as Elias held him by the throat. "Still so emotional, cousin," Damien joked, gripping Elias's wrist lightly. "You should be thanking me. She deserves to know what you've dragged her into." Claire stood frozen, adrenaline flooding her limbs. "Elias!" she shouted. "Stop!" Elias didn't stop. He tightened his grip. Damien's smirk faded. His eyes flashed green, brightening to a dangerous glow. "Enough." His voice cracked like thunder. The air thickened. A pulse of power burst outward from Damien's body, throwing Elias back several feet. Elias hit the ground hard but landed in a crouch, already ready to spring again. But Damien held up a hand. "I'm not here to fight," he said. "Not today." His gaze returned to Claire, softer now, too soft. "I only came to see the woman who changed everything." Claire shook her head. "I didn't change anything. I didn't know." "You didn't have to know," Damien said. "The bond chose you anyway." His eyes swept over her, curious and calculating. "But you don't understand what you've been given." Elias snarled. "Get away from her." Damien ignored him again, his attention fixed entirely on Claire. "Elias will tell you the bond is a curse," Damien said. "But I think it's a gift. One that could remake these mountains." He took one step back into the fog, his silhouette blurring. "And I plan to make sure it reaches its true potential." His eyes glowed bright green one last time. "We will speak again, Claire." And then he vanished into the mist, gone as suddenly as he appeared. Elias exhaled slowly, jaw clenched. Claire felt his anger like heat moving under her skin, a fierce protective burn she didn't know how to handle. She wrapped her arms around herself. He knew exactly how to scare me." Elias shook his head. "No. He knew how to tempt you." Claire's breath caught. Elias stepped closer. His voice was low, steady, strained. "He wants you to doubt me." Claire met his gaze. "Should I?" His expression softened, only slightly. "You can doubt the bond. You can doubt this world. But do not doubt me. Not when Damien is involved." The fog drifted around them, heavy with tension neither of them knew how to name. And the mountain felt suddenly colder. They walked back to the valley slowly, neither speaking for several minutes. Claire was grateful. Her mind was a tangle of fear, confusion, questions, and the aftershock of Damien's appearance. But the silence didn't last. Halfway down the slope, Claire felt it again. A tug. A sharp pull inside her chest. She gasped, pressing a hand to her heart. "Elias." "I feel it," he said, grabbing her elbow before she stumbled. "What is it?" "The bond reacting." "To what?" His jaw tightened. "Your fear." Claire froze. "But I'm not." The tug intensified, pulling at her breath, her ribs, her thoughts. Claire's vision blurred for a moment. Elias stepped closer, voice low. "Claire, look at me." She lifted her gaze to his. He placed a hand near her cheek, not touching her, but close enough for her to feel the heat. "Breathe." She inhaled shakily. "Again," he murmured. "Slow." She exhaled. The tug weakened slightly. Elias nodded. "Good. The bond sometimes reacts to strong emotion. You have to anchor yourself." Claire swallowed. "How often does this happen?" "It depends." "On what?" He hesitated. "On how close we are." Claire felt her cheeks grow warm. "You mean physically close?" "Yes." "Oh." Elias cleared his throat and stepped back a little. The bond loosened even more. Claire breathed easier. But the air between them felt strangely empty, like something had stretched thin and then snapped. They resumed walking. Each step felt heavier. When they reached the valley, dozens of wolves gathered near the ledges, watching them. Some shifted into human form. Some stayed wolves. All of them looked uneasy. Whispers rippled across the crowd. "That's her. Human, bound to him. She'll ruin everything. A threat. A weapon. A curse." Claire clenched her fists, feeling eyes burning into her from every direction. Elias growled loudly enough that everyone fell silent. He turned to Claire. "Ignore them." "That's easy for you to say," she whispered. They don't hate you. They don't hate you. She scoffed. Really? They fear you. That's worse. He sighed. I know. The crowd parted reluctantly, letting them pass. Claire's chest tightened with every step. Her pulse raced. Her palms sweated. The bond pulsed harder. Elias felt it instantly. Claire, wait. She stopped and pressed a hand to a rock wall, trying to steady herself. The whispers, the stares, the weight of every eye crushed down on her. Elias stepped beside her. Listen to me, he said softly. The bond reacts strongest when you feel threatened. The wolves don't want to hurt you, but your instincts can't tell the difference yet. Claire squeezed her eyes shut. I can't control it. You can, he insisted gently. I will teach you. How? I can't even control my own breathing right now. Elias hesitated for a moment, then did something unexpected. He took her hand. Her breath caught, not because of the touch, but because of the sudden calm that washed through her chest. Warm, deep, grounding. The bond settled. Her body relaxed. Her heartbeat steadied. Elias spoke quietly. The tether amplifies emotion, but it can also stabilize it. When we sink, when our energies align, it strengthens control. Claire looked down at their hands. Is this okay? She asked softly. It is necessary, Elias said. But his voice was softer than before. When she met his gaze, she saw something flicker there. Something conflicted, restrained, unreadable. She looked away quickly. They walked together through the valley toward a secluded clearing used for training. The tension from the crowd faded once they were alone. Claire let go of his hand, but the calm lingered. Elias stepped in front of her. We start with the bond's basics. Basics? Claire echoed. Like, what? Bond 101. He actually huffed a quiet breath that might have been a laugh. Something like that. Claire's cheeks warmed. Elias continued. First, you learn to recognize what emotion belongs to you, and what belongs to me. She frowned. You mean, sometimes what I feel isn't even mine? Yes. That's annoying. Agreed. She blinked. Wait, you agree. Humans talk too much, he said dryly. But you are not wrong. Claire crossed her arms. I'm not sure if that was a compliment or an insult. Elias didn't respond, just gave her a look that hovered between amusement and seriousness. Close your eyes, he instructed. She hesitated. Claire, he said softly, trust me. Against all logic, she did. She closed her eyes. Elias moved closer, so close she felt the warmth of his body without being touched. She heard his steady breathing. Smelled pine and rain still clinging to his skin. Focus, he murmured. Her chest tightened. Not on me, he added quickly, as if catching the thought. On you. She tried. Her heart. Her breath. The bond. She felt a pulse, sharp, deeper than a heartbeat. Good, Elias said quietly. Now identify the emotion. Claire frowned. It feels like anger. But not mine. No, it's mine. Why are you angry? His voice dropped. Damien. Ah. She took a deeper breath. Another pulse moved through her, heavy, warm, almost grounding. That one's comfort, she said. Yes, Elias replied. Yours. Her cheeks warmed. Now, he said, your turn. Let the bond reflect something you choose. Like what? Anything. She swallowed. Okay. She thought of last night, the fear, the shock, the adrenaline. She thought of the wolves surrounding them, of waking in a strange world she couldn't escape. But instead of sending fear through the bond, she sent gratitude. Gratitude that he hadn't left her. Gratitude that he protected her. Gratitude that she wasn't completely alone. Elias inhaled sharply. Claire's eyes opened. He stared at her like she had struck him, not painfully, but deeply. His expression was unreadable, shaken for the first time. You feel that? She whispered. He nodded once, jaw tight. Too clearly. Is that bad? No, his voice was rough, quiet. It is unexpected. They stood there, neither looking away, neither speaking, neither moving. The bond hummed between them, warm, steady, alive, until a howl split the mountains. Elias stiffened. Claire's pulse spiked. Damien. No, Elias said. Not yet. He turned toward the valley, eyes blazing gold. But he will come again. Claire swallowed hard, and the bond pulsed once, deep, warning, alive, like a heartbeat they now shared. The sun dropped behind the mountains faster than usual, leaving the valley wrapped in a cold blue glow. Shadows stretched long across the ground as wolves returned to their dens or climbed onto rocky ledges to keep watch. The air smelled of pine, smoke, and tension. Elias had been restless ever since the howl. Claire noticed the change instantly. His jaw was tighter, his movements sharper. His eyes carried a faint but constant glow, as if his instincts refused to settle. They trained for hours in the open clearing, controlling the bond, controlling emotion, learning to sense danger before it arrived. By dusk, Claire was breathless and shaky, sitting on a flat stone while Elias paced like a caged storm. Something's wrong, she said softly. He didn't answer. Elias. He finally stopped, scanning the tree line. The air feels wrong. The energy is shifting. Claire frowned. Energy. Wolves can feel changes in the mountain. Magic. Intent. Life. He turned toward her. Something is coming. Claire stood slowly. Something, or someone. Elias hesitated for only half a second. Someone. Her heart dropped. Damien. No. The wind stirred. Elias's eyes snapped toward the northwest ridge. They are here, he said. Who? Claire whispered. Rebel scouts. He stepped in front of her instantly, body shifting slightly, posture lowering with wolf-like precision, protective, alert. Claire barely had time to speak before she heard it too. A crunch of leaves. A low growl. Then another. Shapes moved between the shadows. Dark bodies slipping between the pines, eyes glowing like embers. Wolves. A whole pack. Claire's throat tightened. There are so many. Stay behind me. His voice was deep, command-like, leaving no room for argument. The first wolf stepped into the clearing, a massive grey creature, fur scarred and messy, eyes bright red. It snarled, teeth bared, drool dripping onto the ground. Elias growled back, a sound so deep and vicious that Claire felt the vibration in her ribs. The grey wolf howled sharply. 5 more wolves stepped out. Then another 3. Claire's breath faltered. The clearing filled with hostile bodies, fur bristling, paws crushing pine needles. Their growls blended into a violent chorus. Elias spoke without turning. Claire, listen carefully. Her heart hammered. I'm listening. If they try to take you, the bond will react. You must not panic. You must not lose control. I'll try. No. You must succeed. His command was clear, firm, desperate. The wolves began moving forward, slow and coordinated. Then another shape emerged behind them. A tall man with dark blonde hair and cold grey eyes. He wore a fur-lined coat and walked with a strong, confident stride. This wasn't Damien. This was someone crueler. Someone who enjoyed hunting. Claire tensed. Who is that? Rylan, Elias said, voice low with disgust. Damien's beater. Rylan smiled like a predator amused by its prey. Elias Blackthorn, he drawled. Always fun seeing you outnumbered. Elias didn't move. His muscles tightened, ready to strike. You came a long way just to die here. Rylan's grin widened. Oh, we didn't come for you. His gaze slid to Claire. She felt nausea rise in her throat. Elias stepped closer to her instinctively, blocking her from view. Rylan sighed dramatically. Ah yes. The precious human. The mountain's little accident. His eyes gleamed. Our prince wants her. We're here to collect. Elias snarled and shifted instantly. It was so fast Claire barely saw it. 1 second he was human, the next he was a massive black wolf, fur bristling, teeth bared, golden eyes blazing brighter than fire. Rylan raised a hand. The wolves attacked. Everything happened at once. Elias charged into the mass of wolves, slamming 2 aside so hard they flew into trees. Snarls and yelps filled the air. Fur and claws and teeth clashed violently. Claire stumbled backward, heart hammering so hard she felt dizzy. The bond flared, electric, painful, surging with Elias's rage. A wolf lunged at her from the side. Claire screamed. But claws never reached her. Elias crashed into the wolf, tearing it away with terrifying strength. Claire felt the hit, like a pulse of raw violence inside her chest, but she didn't fall. Another wolf circled behind her. Claire spun, backing up against a rock. Elias! He couldn't hear her, not over the fight. She grabbed a broken branch off the ground, holding it like a weak shield. The wolf snarled, saliva dripping from its jaws. "Stay back," she whispered, voice trembling. The wolf leapt. A sudden crack split the air. Marion Wren's voice echoed through the clearing. "Stop!" Magic burst outward in a wave, knocking wolves back like leaves in a storm. Claire fell to her knees, gasping. Rylan snarled, shielding his eyes from the bright flash. Marion stepped out from between 2 trees, her old eyes glowing white, her staff crackling with energy. "I do not welcome uninvited guests," she said coldly. Rylan hissed. "Old witch." Marion raised her staff. The ground trembled. Roots shot up from the earth, coiling around Rylan's legs, holding him in place. He cursed, struggling violently. Elias, still in wolf form, stood between Claire and the remaining wolves, fur raised, blood dripping from his jaw. He growled at anyone who even looked in their direction. Marion pointed her staff at Rylan's throat. "Take your pack and leave." Rylan spat at the ground. "We're not done." "No," Marion said calmly. "You're not." Her power surged. A crack of lightning shot down the staff, missing Rylan by inches. He jerked back, terrified. "Go," she said coldly. Rylan signaled his remaining wolves, and they retreated reluctantly, limping, wounded, growling low threats as they disappeared into the forest. The moment the last wolf vanished, Elias shifted back, panting, covered in blood and dirt. His eyes found Claire instantly. He rushed to her, dropping to one knee. "You're hurt." "No. I don't think so," Claire whispered. He cupped her face, gentle, shaking. "I felt your fear. It nearly ripped through me." Her eyes stung. "Elias, I thought you were alive, hurt, dying, gone." Everything unsaid hung between them. He pulled her into his chest without thinking. She let him. His breath shook against her hair. She felt his heartbeat through the bond, hammering as fast as hers. Marion watched them quietly, expression unreadable. Finally, she spoke. "You two are running out of time." Elias didn't let go. Claire didn't ask what that meant. She already knew. The next attack would be worse. And Damien would not be far behind. They returned to Marion's hut in silence. Claire's heart still raced, her hand still shook, and the memory of teeth snapping inches from her face lingered like a cold shadow. Elias walked beside her, wounded but strong, every movement tense and protective. Marion led the way, her staff tapping softly against the damp ground. Inside the hut, the air smelled like herbs, firewood, and something sharp, like magic drifting through the air. Marion motioned to a wooden bench. "Sit." Claire Saturday. Elias remained standing beside her. Marion studied them both with narrowed eyes. "This attack changes everything." "They know where to find her now," Elias said. "They've always known where to find her," Marion corrected. "But now they've tested your defenses." Claire swallowed. "So they'll be back." "Of course," Marion said. "And next time, Damien will lead them." Claire's stomach twisted. "Why does he want me so badly?" Marion sat opposite her. Because you are the only thing in these mountains more powerful than Elias. Claire blinked slowly. That makes no sense. I'm human. I don't have magic. You don't need magic, Marion said simply. You have him. Elias stiffened. Claire felt a faint echo of discomfort through the bond. Marion continued. The soul tether is more than emotion. More than instinct. It is raw, unpredictable power. Two souls sharing one thread. If Damien controls you, he controls the tether. And if he controls the tether, she looked at Elias. He controls you. Claire stared at Elias. Why didn't you tell me that? Elias didn't look away. Because I do not want you to be afraid of me. She shook her head. I'm not afraid of you. His gaze softened. You should be. Marion smacked her staff lightly on the floor. Enough. Fear won't save either of you. Claire ran a hand through her hair, overwhelmed. So what do we do? Marion took a deep breath. You must learn the full truth of the bond. Claire sat straighter. Elias stiffened. Marion leaned forward. Claire, the bond is not finished. I thought it was, Claire whispered. I thought when I gave him my blood. That began the rite, Marion corrected. It did not complete it. Claire blinked. So, what completes it? Marion's pale eyes flicked briefly to Elias. A willing choice. Accepted by both halves of the bond. Claire's breath hitched. You mean, I have to choose him? Yes, Marion said gently. And he must choose you. Claire's mind spun. And if we don't? The bond weakens, Marion said. Slowly, painfully, pulling both souls apart thread by thread until one breaks. Claire's heart froze. One. Not both. Marion nodded. Humans do not survive soul tearing. You would die first. Elias would follow not long after. The room felt like it tilted sideways. Claire gripped the bench. Elias moved closer instinctively. Claire, he began. But Marion raised a hand. Let her think. Claire's voice was barely a whisper. So if I refuse the bond, I die. Yes, Marion said softly. And Elias dies with you. Elias's jaw tightened. A pulse of emotion, fear, rage, protectiveness, shot through the tether so strongly Claire flinched. She whispered, What happens if we accept the bond? Marion stared at her with an expression far heavier than before. Then Elias becomes stronger. Stronger than any alpha in history. Stronger than any wolf alive. Claire swallowed. What about me? Marion hesitated. Humans do not remain fully human after acceptance. Claire's breath stopped. What do you mean? The bond would change you, Marion said gently. Your senses. Your instincts. Your lifespan. Your strength. Your mind. She paused. It would take pieces of him, and pieces of you, and make something new. Silence filled the hut like thick smoke. Claire looked at Elias. He looked away. For the first time, she saw fear in his eyes. Not fear of losing power. Not fear of losing control. Fear of losing her. Claire whispered, You knew this. Elias closed his eyes. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? He opened his eyes, golden and raw. Because I want you to live. Even if it means living without me. Her chest tightened painfully. You think I would choose death? Elias's voice was rough. I think you would choose freedom. Claire stared at him. She didn't know what her future held. She didn't know how to escape this world or survive it. She didn't know what the bond meant for her heart. But she knew one thing. She wasn't ready to lose him either. Not like this. Not hunted. Not broken. Not torn apart. Marion rose, leaning on her staff. Tomorrow, the witch said, I will teach Claire how to shield her thoughts from Damien. And how to control the tether when fear takes over. She looked at Elias. And you will teach her how to fight. Elias nodded slowly. Marion stepped closer to Claire, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Child," she whispered, "your fate is no longer yours alone." Claire closed her eyes. The bond pulsed, soft, warm, steady. For the first time, it didn't feel like a chain. It felt like a heartbeat. Shared. Alive. And changing everything. Morning came cold and sharp, like the mountain had no intention of being gentle today. A silver mist hung low over the valley, drifting between the stone homes and tree roots like restless spirits. Wolves were awake early, moving in silent patrols, their eyes sharp and uneasy after the previous night's attack. Claire barely slept. Her body felt heavy, her mind tangled in everything Marion had told her. The bond. The danger. The choices she didn't want to make. The choices she might be forced to make anyway. When she stepped outside Marion's hut, Elias was already waiting. He stood near the edge of a cliff that overlooked the entire valley, arms crossed, expression unreadable. The wind tugged at his dark hair, and faint sunlight glowed behind him, outlining his broad silhouette. He looked like a king carved from shadow. Claire swallowed. "You're up early." "I never slept." "You need to rest." He didn't move. "I need to prepare you." His voice was rougher than usual, deeper. Shadows lived beneath his eyes, the kind that came from fear and exhaustion hiding beneath a hard exterior. Claire stepped beside him. "What are you thinking?" He glanced at her, gold flickering faintly in his gaze. "I'm thinking that yesterday was only the beginning, and that if we don't act fast, someone will die." She stared at him. "You mean me?" His jaw tightened. "I mean everyone." Silence pressed between them, the heavy kind that carried unspoken truths. Finally, Elias looked away. "Follow me." He led her down a narrow path hidden between rocks. It sloped downward into a shadowy stretch of tall, thin pine trees, the hollow pines, where almost no sunlight reached the forest floor. The air felt colder here. Still. Watching. Claire rubbed her arms. "This place feels haunted." "It is," Elias said. "Wolves avoid it unless they have a reason to enter. And now we're entering. Because you need training that cannot be interrupted." He stopped in a small clearing where the ground was flat and soft with moss. The trees curved inward, their branches forming a dark circle overhead, almost like nature's own arena. Elias turned to face her fully. "Today," he said quietly, "I teach you how to survive." Claire exhaled slowly. "Okay. What do I do?" He stepped closer, close enough that she could feel his heat. "You trust me?" Her heartbeat thudded loudly. He took her hand and placed it over his chest. Her fingers brushed warm skin and a steady, powerful heartbeat. "Feel the tether," he murmured. She closed her eyes. There it was, the bond, like a faint current pulling gently at her own heartbeat. "When emotions are strong, the tether reacts," Elias said. "Fear sharpens it. Anger strengthens it. Calm controls it." Claire opened her eyes. "So I have to stay calm while something tries to kill me?" "Exactly." "That's a very high expectation." His lips almost curved. "I know." Then he stepped back. The change in his presence was immediate. The protective warmth vanished. His posture shifted, muscles coiling. His eyes darkened until golden light rippled through them. "Elias, defend yourself." He blurred. 1 second he stood before her. The next, he was behind her. Claire gasped and spun, hands raised instinctively. He didn't touch her, but the wind of his movement brushed her hair. A shiver ran down her spine. "Too slow," he said. "I'm trying." "Try harder." He vanished again. Claire ducked as he appeared to her left, sweeping a foot near her ankle, lightly, not to hurt her, but to test her balance. She stumbled, caught herself, and glared. "Are you trying to knock me down?" "Yes," he said. "Because Damien will not hold back." He lunged again. Claire moved faster this time, sidestepping, ducking, trying to sense him through the bond. But emotions scrambled her focus. Fear, frustration, adrenaline. "Clear your mind," Elias commanded. I'm literally fighting a supernatural alpha king. How am I supposed to, He darted forward and caught her wrist, spinning her. The world tilted. She hit the mossy ground on her back, breath knocked out of her. Elias crouched beside her instantly, expression unreadable. You lost focus. I lost gravity, Claire snapped. You're getting better, he said quietly. She blinked. That was better. His eyes softened. Yes. He offered his hand. She hesitated only a second before taking it. He pulled her up with ease, too much ease. She stumbled forward, nearly crashing into him, and his hand steadied her waist. Their faces were close. Too close. Claire's breath caught. Elias inhaled sharply, as if her nearness affected him too. The bond pulsed, warm, intense, electric. Elias stepped back quickly, breaking the moment. Again, he said, voice suddenly rough. Training continued for hours. She learned how to move before thinking. How to use the bond to sense danger. How to control her heartbeat to keep panic away. How to read Elias's movements through the faint tug in her chest. She fell. She got up. She fell again. Each time, Elias watched her with eyes filled not with impatience, but something like unspoken hope. When the sun dipped low, he finally stopped. Claire collapsed onto the moss, panting, face flushed and hair sticking to her forehead. Elias stood over her, arms crossed. You improved. She groaned. I feel like I got hit by a tree. That's normal. She squinted at him. Do you ever get tired? Rarely. Great. Love that for you. Something like amusement flickered in his eyes. Then his expression shifted, turning distant. The tether grows stronger when we train, he said. It adapts, learns, feeds on determination. Claire sat up slowly. Feeds. He nodded. Strength, emotion, intention. It interprets everything. So the bond is alive. In a way, Elias murmured. And it is watching your choices very closely. Claire's stomach flipped. I don't even know what my choices are. You will, he said quietly. Soon. A howl echoed in the distance, low, mournful, wild. Elias stiffened instantly. Claire felt it too, a sharp tug of danger through the tether. This wasn't a normal howl. It was a warning. Elias turned toward the valley. Something has happened. Claire rose shakily to her feet. What do you mean? He didn't answer. He grabbed her arm gently, pulling her into a run. Branches whipped past them. The valley came into view. Wolves were gathered near the center, dozens of them, howling, pacing, snarling. Rowan met them halfway, face grave. Elias, he said. It's Marion. Elias froze. What about her? Rowan's voice dropped. She's missing. A chill crept up Claire's spine. Missing? How? Rowan swallowed hard. Her hut is empty. Her staff broken. And there were tracks. Claire's blood turned cold. What kind of tracks? Rowan looked at Elias. Elias already knew. His voice was low and furious. Damien Vale. The valley fell silent. Elias's gaze snapped to Claire, the golden glow in his eyes flaring dangerously bright. We must move, he said. Now. And the bond pulsed hard enough to make her gasp. The hunt had begun. By the time the moon rose, wolves filled the valley like a living storm, grey, brown, black, silver, pacing restlessly and snarling under their breath. The air vibrated with tension. Marion Wren, the one person who understood the bond, had been taken. By Damien. And now the mountain itself felt angry. Claire stood beside Elias at the northern lookout ridge. The two of them gazed down at the dark forest where torches flickered faintly in the distance, rebel wolves, gathering like a silent army. Why would Damien take her? Claire whispered. Elias exhaled slowly, his breath visible in the night air. Because she knows too much. About you. About me. About the right. And about the second half of the bond. Claire felt sick. Do you think he wants her alive? For now, Elias said. Until she gives him what he wants. And after that. His silence was answer enough. Claire hugged herself. This is my fault. Elias turned sharply. No. She got taken because she helped us. She got taken because Damien fears you. Do not blame yourself for his twisted ambition. Claire looked at him helplessly. But what if she gets hurt? She won't. How do you know? His golden eyes locked onto hers, fierce and unwavering. Because I will not allow it. Her chest tightened. He didn't speak like a king. He spoke like someone who had already decided he would tear the whole mountain apart before letting anything happen to her. Claire swallowed, voice soft. What do we do now? We track them. And then. His eyes darkened. Then we take Marion back. Rowan approached, breathless. Elias. Something else. Elias growled impatiently. What? Rowan pointed to the forest. A single wolf approached from the shadows, walking slowly, tail high, eyes glowing icy blue. Claire stepped closer to Elias instinctively. Elias's hand hovered near her, protective. Messenger. The wolf shifted into a man, tall, lean, with blonde hair falling over his forehead and a cruel smile playing on his mouth. Claire's heart stopped. Damien Vale. He wore dark leather and a coat of wolf fur. Silver rings lined his fingers. His eyes, pale and sharp, never strayed from Claire. Even surrounded by dozens of hostile wolves, Damien looked amused. Bored, even. Hello, Alpha King, Damien said lazily. You're hard to get alone these days. Elias stepped forward. Give me the witch. Oh. Straight to business. Damien grinned. You really were raised without manners. What do you want? Damien tilted his head at Claire. Her. Claire's pulse jumped. Me. Why? Damien smiled wider. Because you're the mountain's favorite mistake. And I love correcting mistakes. Elias growled, low and deadly. You will not touch her. Damien's smile didn't falter. Then trade. Claire's stomach dropped. Trade? Trade what? Damien gestured casually. The witch for the girl. Simple exchange. Elias lunged forward. But Rowan held him back. Claire had never seen Elias lose control like this. Damien laughed. Look at you. So protective. So emotional. She really does weaken you. Elias spat. She makes me stronger. Does she? Damien raised an eyebrow. Because from where I stand, she is the only thing keeping you on your knees. Claire felt the bond pulse painfully, Elias's rage slamming into her chest like a tidal wave. Damien took a step closer, ignoring the hostile growls around him. He addressed Claire directly. You don't belong here, human. His voice was disturbingly gentle. You don't understand the power you hold. But I do. I can teach you. I can show you how to stay alive. Enough, Elias snarled. Damien didn't stop. He lowered his voice, gaze piercing. Do you want to survive this? Because staying with him will kill you. Claire's breath caught. It was like Damien's words sliced straight into the doubt in her heart. Elias stepped in front of her. Leave, he commanded. Damien sighed dramatically. Very well. I'll return tomorrow night. Why? Elias demanded. Damien smirked. To hear her answer. He shifted instantly, bones cracking, fur bursting outward. A massive pale wolf replaced him, glowing in the moonlight like a phantom. He turned once, gaze locking with Claire, before sprinting into the forest, disappearing like a ghost made of frost. Silence suffocated the valley. Claire's hands shook. Rowan exhaled shakily. This is a trap. Obviously. Elias didn't answer. His eyes stayed on Claire. And his voice, when he finally spoke, was soft and broken. Do not listen to him. Claire looked away, heart pounding. Because Damien's words had struck fear deep inside her. And Elias felt every ounce of that fear through the tether. If you love this story and want the next chapters, don't forget to hit that like button. It tells me you're ready for more. Drop a comment below. Tell me which character has hooked you the most, Elias, Claire, Damien, or Marion. I'm reading every single one. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter. Trust me, things are about to get even darker, deeper, and way more intense. Share this video with someone who loves supernatural romance and dangerous twists. Let's grow this world together.